It is not often that you have an opportunity to speak to a Olympic athlete, somebody who represents your country, who is one of the best in the world. Like, it's kind of crazy to think about, but that's the deal. If you go to the Olympics, you're one of the best in the world. So this is such a real treat for us, and it is really an honor to have a U.S. Olympic athlete in studio with us this morning. Annie Kunz, who is a heptathlete.
Wow. Very well done.
Thank you very much. Annie, a little bit. Did I have to look up what is in the heptathlon? Yes, I did.
Most people do.
Yes, I did. And I had to look up, what's the difference between the decathlon and the heptathlon. It's 7 events rather than 10.
Yes.
So I got it. I'm down.
More than most people.
I know.
See, I still don't know. So I don't know what events are in the heptathlon.
Oh, Scott, you're such a noob.
Really? You just Googled it like a day ago.
Shut up. So Annie, thank you so much for coming in. I know you trained down in Chula Vista. You're up in Orange County. You came down to do this interview, which I can't tell you how much I appreciate. But it's really cool to have you in here and to talk to you. So we got a million questions. I mean, let's begin with what we were just talking about.
Yes, please.
The heptathlon, which is 7 events, which are, what can you name all 7?
So it's 7 events over 2 days, and the events are the hurdles, high jump, shot put, 200, and then you turn around and do long jump, javelin, and the 800 on D2.
Oh my God!
Wow!
Yeah, that's based on like a point system. Yeah, it's 2 days.
So you would think it would be like every day would be an event, but you jam them all.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get to rest that much.
No, it's very
crazy.
Grueling.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I guess the question is, you're in the heptathlon. Why not do the other 3 and do the decathlon?
And what's
are those? The difference?
Yeah, what are those other 3?
Yeah, I mean, it's been talked about, like turning the heptathlon into the decathlon. I'm not for it.
Oh, okay.
Really?
So you're like 7. I'm good.
I'm good. I'm good with 7. You don't need to add 3 more.
Yeah.
They add like the pole vault, the 400, the 1500 instead. So there's a little bit of differences within it. Yeah. So it just heptathlon 7 events, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
You're good.
Sounds like it.
7's enough for me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to be a world-class athlete to be good at all of those different things, because that's not easy to do. And when I was watching, because I obviously was watching the Olympics, everybody was watching the Olympics, and you're sitting there going, how did you get good at all of that different stuff? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
How did you?
I mean, well, in high school, I did a lot of the events. I was a jumper, so I did all the jumps. I did the hurdles. I got thrown in the 4x2. So I got recruited as a heptathlete, and at the time had no I couldn't pronounce the word either. Had no idea what it was, and no idea what I was getting myself into. Ran my first 800 and was like, I don't know if I'm
this is crazy.
This is a lot.
And who do you get recruited by? Because if you're just in high school doing track and field, I mean, I'm sure there's kids like that all over the country, like, how does that link to the heptathlon? Who's that weird?
Usually
is it a weird
the jumps
guy?
coaches are the head of the combined events, and so I actually was a soccer player in college, so I got a full ride for soccer, and have been doing.
But
both
don't
sports.
you do, Annie?
Where did you go to school?
Texas A&M.
Oh wow!
So I've been doing both sports since I was like 2 and 3 years old.
Wow.
So soccer recruits a little bit earlier, and so all the schools that were recruiting me for soccer, I would go look at the track programs. And then all of the track coaches that I spoke to were like, "You'd be a great heptathlete." So I just kind of went for it and I did both sports all 4 years. Redshirted my senior year, so I could do just track and field for the first time, because soccer was really my main focus my entire life until that 5th year. And that's kind of where it took off for me, where I qualified for the Rio trials. I was going in, I think I was like 22nd. I ended up finishing 8th. And broke the school record, and things just kind of took off for me, where I was like, dang, maybe I should have been doing this, and then I got recruited out here to Chula Vista, and I've been here for the last 4.5 years, and the heptathlon, like you said, it takes a lot of time to be an expert in all of those events.
No kidding.
I still feel like I'm figuring it out, but so I've been here ever since, and it's really just taken off for me.
I can't imagine the training that goes into this. It's got to be grueling, right?
Yeah. It's a lot. We're out at the track from 9:30 or 10 a.m. to about 1 in the afternoon. Then we take like a lunch break, and then we're back into the weight room at like 2:30, and we get done around 4. So it's a
Sounds like my
full-time.
workout.
Yeah, right.
Really?
I get off
Yeah,
the
no.
training,
Lunch break.
Yeah.
training,
Yeah.
training.
Doesn't sound
Dang,
like
how do you
it.
do it?
It's a lot, but I'm lucky. I'm like, hey, if I can work out for a living, I'm
That's true.
loving it.
So Annie, out of the 7, is there one that you prefer and you're like, that's my favorite? And is there one that you're actually, I'm the best at that? Because I saw your shot put.
Yeah, the
and
shot put is very random.
And I went, that's crazy. Annie's really good at the shot put.
Really?
And like, why is
I
that?
don't know why I can throw a metal ball that far.
That's
but
crazy.
yeah.
Is that your favorite because you're the best at it, or do you have another event that you're like, is actually my favorite?
I mean, it's always fun when you're beating people.
Absolutely.
So I think that's enjoyable. I definitely love shot put. It's fun for me because it clicks for me.
Yeah.
But I've always been in love with the hurdles. I love the high jump. And long jump, I think, has really turned into one of my favorites over the last couple of years. Yeah, I've really improved a lot. I've started jumping like 1.5 feet further than I was in the last couple years. So yeah, that's been really fun. And there's honestly not one that I dread anymore.
Okay.
I used to hate the 800 and the javelin.
Yeah.
But I've learned to love them and appreciate the 800 and the pain that I endure during it. But yeah, it's funny. It
like
keeps
I
you
took a
on your
break
toes.
watching you run that race. I'm like, I need a break.
But you weren't running,
Yeah,
Eddie.
I know.
It's gnarly.
You know, Annie, you mentioned long jump.
Mhm.
You know, in 5th grade, I set the
What?
school record
Is
for
this-
long
Yes.
jump.
You're an embarrassment.
Is this
Field day.
You're a
happening?
real embarrassment.
So
At
I'm
field
not
You're a
day.
real
Love to
embarrassment.
hear it.
I'm not saying I'm a heptathlete.
No.
but
No.
long jump expert.
Yeah, you want to go
Okay,
against
we gotta
her?
jump off. Let's go do a jump off.
Yeah.
Give me a head start.
Okay, then what is that
And
going to do?
10 extra feet.
No.
Huh?
You still won't win.
No,
You still won't win.
No, you won't.
So, Annie, obviously you're over in Tokyo. We're going to have a million questions about your
Oh,
experience
yes. Yeah.
over in Tokyo. But I don't know if you were aware of what was going on here in the States. We're watching you,
Oh, yeah.
and you sort of became a little bit of a viral sensation.
I did?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Because we're watching you here in the States, and we're seeing this gorgeous woman
Oh.
out there perform like an incredible athlete,
Yeah.
and people were like, who's that? and you're, I don't know if you noticed, maybe your Instagram followers started to go up a
that
little bit.
exploded. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason, Annie. There's a reason.
There is.
And so, were you hearing anything, or were you just, I'm locked in and I'm
I've been
tuning all that out?
super locked in.
Yeah.
I pretty much get off social media and stuff like a few
Smart.
days before.
Yeah, smart.
I have my routine, and I work with a mental coach. The days, I've been working for over a year, but so I just work with him, and so I kind of just tune
Block
out
all
the
that stuff
noise
out.
and just kind of
Yeah.
get in my zone.
Now that you're back in the States,
Yeah.
have people reached out to you, like sponsorships and
Yeah.
stuff like that?
Yeah, I got an agent, so
Oh.
that's
Good girl.
amazing.
Good
That's
girl.
super helpful. They take care of my social media stuff.
Smart.
I'm not good at that.
Oh.
I'm not into it, to be
Look
honest.
at your social, and this picture is incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my God, how do you do that?
Is that a
Oh,
selfie?
yeah.
Did you
That's
take
wonderful.
that?
Yeah,
As you're jumping over the high bar or whatever.
Oh my
Jumping over a
gosh.
high bar, That's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, but I got an agent, so I have some interest. That's been super helpful, just because it is tough financially
Yeah.
in a smaller sport like track and field.
Right.
So they've been really helpful, and exciting things. I'm hoping.
Oh, big things
ahead.
popping, Annie.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just cool because before trials, you're unsure with all the uncertainty of making the team. You're not sure if you're going to be able to continue.
Yeah.
And I kind of prepare. You prepare for the worst. Not negative thinking or anything, but it kind of took a 180 for me, and I'm just really blessed and excited about what's to come.
So in the games, you finished 6th. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that obviously leads you to the next games.
Yeah.
Are you immediately like, I'm in? I'm like, I want to go. I want a medal. I'm like all in. Or was this so much that you're like, you know what? That was good enough for me. Where are you
I'm
at?
Hungry.
Atta girl.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, right?
It's been
Yeah.
3 years. Yeah, I've been training for 5 for this one, so 3
wow.
years is nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It's gonna be here in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, and I think just, with finishing at trials and winning, I didn't expect to win trials, and then seeing what my score was, I didn't think 6,700 points was in my bandwidth.
Wow.
And so I think it just
So you
really,
exceeded your expectations?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
I
that's
surprised
awesome.
myself, and it opened my eyes a lot. I had a coach tell me, he's like, you've been training with your eyes closed, now your eyes are open, and
See what
look
you
out
can do.
kind of thing. And
Nice.
so it's just made me more excited than ever for the future, and hungrier and motivated to make the podium.
Yep.
And, so I'm excited.
That's really cool.
And we've got World Championships this year too, which is in Eugene, Oregon. So that'll be a fun one to look forward
Gotta
to.
get
as well.
that.
Wow.
Gotta go get that, Annie. All right, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we're going to talk to Annie about what was it like in Tokyo. Because we have no idea. I mean, I know there was a lot of reports about what was going on in the Olympic Village and, what was it like walking in during the opening ceremonies to nobody.
Yeah.
It had to be wild. So we're going to talk to Annie. Can't wait to find out what was going on at the Olympics. We are honored to have U.S. Olympic athlete Annie Kunz in studio with us this morning. We're talking her ear off about everything Olympics. She competed in the heptathlon, did amazing. But Paris, look out.
Oh, yes.
We winning.
Yeah.
We winning.
God.
Oh, yeah, I'm Team Annie now. She can't get rid of me, man. Like, it's on. I might even, show up as a coach, motivational speaker.
In Paris?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. We'll talk.
man.
We'll talk. Yeah, I will be the best hype man ever.
Oh,
100%. So we got a million questions for you about the actual games. Obviously, 2020 didn't happen. Were you on that team as well? Were you going to go in 2020, or do we not know?
No one was qualified yet.
Okay.
So you have to qualify the month before the Olympics.
Okay, so
everything
that
got
was all
shut down
canceled.
before anything was decided.
Okay.
So we all were kind of in the unknown zone.
You're in limbo for a whole year.
Yeah.
And I'm
it
sure
was hard.
training had to be tough and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was in parks and stuff, and I had more just because I was really hitting my stride. Like when shutdowns happened, I just come off indoor nationals. I won that. So I had momentum and I didn't want to lose that. So I was finding parks. I remember I brought my shot put to the back of this basketball court that backed up to grass. And I was just ruined this area of this park with my shot put, and I brought
jumping over benches.
Yeah, I
what
got
the heck?
those collapsible hurdles and was doing them in the alley behind our apartment. So I was just making do with what I could. And it taught me a lot in that moment, though. I think I realized how much I really do want it because for the first time, I'm without a coach on my own and pushing myself every day.
Well, mental toughness, I'm sure. It completely changed everything.
It was a little bit a lot of us got depressed, and I fully did for a couple months. And so finding my way out of that, and I learned a lot about myself.
Well, that was a big subject during the Olympics is mental health and Olympians competing and things like that. Was that a big scuttlebutt around the village of what Simone Biles did and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone can relate. We all go through those moments, and I've personally, I don't think I would have made the team in 2020 if I hadn't gone through what I did. I found my mental coach. I found a therapist.
Wow.
I worked on things I'd never worked on, and it's such a huge part of athletics and sports, and not for track, but in my life, I've learned so much. And he just taught me the grit and acceptance of feelings and emotions and how to manage those things, because the heptathlon is so grueling. It's so long. 7 different events. So many different things can happen. And like the Olympics, I stumbled in the hurdles. I almost fell.
Oh,
no! If I would have, in years past, I would have let that just ruin my whole meet.
And you could shut down.
And you have to
you have 5 more events or whatever.
And you got to perform there. And I've just learned so much, and I am so grateful for that, because I've really learned how to have that grit and resilience that I didn't have before.
Do you think that more athletes and Olympians should have some sort of mental coach?
I think it should be the law that everyone has.
Really?
Yes.
You're probably right.
You hear that, Scott?
Yes. I hear it. It's on my to-do.
It's so, you learn so much about yourself. We have coaches in every other area of our life. If you want to lose weight, you get a nutritionist. And so I just am a huge advocate for it. It's been so beneficial for me, and it's made the world of difference this year.
That's crazy. That's so interesting. So talk to me about Tokyo. You make the team, you're going to the games, but we know it's going to be different. There's going to be no fans, there's going to be strict protocols. What was it like over there? Because we would have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as intense as I thought it was going to be, and I think all of us were just grateful we got at games, because there was so much talk about it getting canceled.
Yeah.
So
up to the last minute.
Yeah,
we weren't sure.
It was uncertain.
Touch and go.
So everyone, I think, was very on edge a little bit about just making sure they were wearing their masks and everything, but even because of contact tracing, you didn't want to get contact traced out of your event.
Because if you got if you were in the contract racing or you got COVID, you were done, right?
Yeah, so if you got COVID, you're done.
Okay.
You're one of our pole vaulters got it, and he was in isolation for 10 days.
Oh.
Yeah, it was awful. He was a medal contender.
Working that whole time.
So if you didn't have your mask for more than 15 minutes with someone, that was kind of how they were contact tracing. So all of us were like, we are sleeping in our masks.
It's worth it.
I'm showering with that thing on.
Right?
So I think that was like everyone was just kind of on edge about that until they finally competed. And we got tested every morning with the spit test. The airport, when we got there, we were there for like over 4 hours, just going through protocols and testing in the holding room, waiting for our results. Yeah, so that was definitely different. Obviously, there were no fans,
yeah.
So it was a different experience. But we had all these watch parties back home, and it was definitely a historical Olympics.
It really was. One we're not going to forget anytime soon.
No.
It
Yeah,
was a
definitely
trip.
different. It was a little bittersweet not having any family and friends there too.
Yeah, because that was the thing that was kind of heartbreaking, is watching you guys compete. This is obviously a dream come true, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, hopefully not. But your family, who would normally travel and friends, couldn't. And so, you were doing watch parties, which is nice, but you want them there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely this, I think people see the Olympics, and it's like, it looks like just this glamorous blip of amazingness, and you don't realize that, like, this has been a 5-year up and down battle journey that has been so tough and amazing, but those are the people that are with you on all of those low days.
You say 5 years, but honestly, it's a lifetime of support,
And so they've literally been on it every step of the way with me, and so to not have them there to just enjoy the experience that we've been working for together for so long is really, really hard. I think I've been preparing for it for months, just being like, okay, I'm going to be there by myself. But like the 2 days before, the emotions start setting in, the nerves a little bit, and you're just like, oh, I just wish my comfort was
somebody,
here, you know? So that was hard, and I think that's also why I'm motivated for Paris, to kind of get the full experience and hope that my family and friends.
Yeah, that would be huge.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the Olympic Village.
Oh yeah.
Because we've heard different reports. We've heard some like, oh my God, they're sleeping on cardboard.
That's what I want to know about the cardboard bed.
And like the thing is terrible. And then other people are like, oh, it wasn't that bad. What was it like for you?
Okay, well, it's like a small city. Like, the infrastructure that they build is incredible. It was probably like 15 apartment buildings, and so every building had, the bigger countries, like the U.S. had a whole building, and every floor was like different for sports and stuff. Whereas other smaller countries would like share buildings. It was like a 15-20 minute walk just to get to the shuttle, so it's huge. The dining hall was 2 floors, open 24/7. Things like that were super cool. Food was good, better than I expected. I heard like in Rio, I heard it was really bad. Really? So it was definitely better than I expected. I have a really strict like diet and stuff that I follow, and it was really easy. They had so many different options.
So you weren't crushing Twinkies or anything?
No,
like that.
not until after.
Okay.
But really, it's the rooms and the beds that you're like, are we at the Olympics? It was cardboard bed.
It really was.
And it was probably the hardest mattress I've ever slept on. A lot of us were ordering mattress toppers from like Amazon Japan.
Really?
Oh, yeah, because it was brutal. Like, it was really, really brutal.
You might as well sleep on the floor.
Yeah, and then it looked, honestly, like, when they realized no fans were going to come, they just, like, stopped construction halfway through, and they're like, this'll do. Because, like, it was drywall, and then, like, our bathrooms looked like, it's like a tin trailer, almost.
Really?
It was really interesting.
How bizarre.
Yeah, so the rooms and the beds were not great, but everything else was amazing.
And you're a tall gal.
Yes.
Were you hanging off the...
Walking around the village, I have never felt shorter in my entire life. I'm 6 feet tall, and I literally, like, felt short. It was crazy.
Oh, really? Just because everybody's giant?
Yes. All the athletes walking around, the basketball players, the volleyball girls are, like, 6'4" minimum.
They're giant.
They're huge.
Yeah.
So that was different.
Yeah.
So they had, like, leg extenders for people that were taller.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So then stop complaining.
Yeah, I know. I'm not complaining, but it was definitely not.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Now, is this in my mind that in previous years the village is kind of like a party town, a hookup village, if you will? So because of COVID, like nobody's even thinking that way.
Right?
It was definitely like more of a relaxed version. My best friend Maggie that went to Rio said that was like wild and partying and hooking up.
And
they had vending machines of condoms.
Stop it!
They didn't have that in Tokyo.
Okay.
So it was definitely like more relaxed version. But afterwards, I did see a lot of people like walking around with like bottles of vodka and like celebrating once the end of the games. Yeah.
Wow.
In Rio, didn't Ryan Lochte get arrested?
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty
that
sure.
did happen.
Yes, that did happen. That is
a lot of
true
things to get away with in Rio.
I'm sure. A little different. So talk to me about the opening ceremony. ceremonies. You know, that's everybody's big thing is the Parade of Nations. You get to walk in representing your country, but there are no fans there.
Well,
What was that like?
I wish I knew. I wasn't
You didn't go?
allowed to go.
Why?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know
none
that.
of the track kids were allowed to go because of Japan just had like really intense protocols with the dates that you were allowed to come in the country. So because of where my competition fell, I was only allowed to come in on the 24th or 25th. And opening ceremonies, I believe, was like on the 23rd or 22nd.
No.
So we missed opening. So I watched it from my couch at home with
Stop
my French bulldog.
Oh.
Yeah, so I missed that, and
What
then
a trip.
and then you had to leave within 48 hours, and my 48 hours was the 7th, and closing ceremony.
So you
was on
didn't
the
get to
8th.
do either?
So I missed both.
Oh,
my
no.
God.
Whoa.
Well, that's
also
weird.
bittersweet. Yeah, just
Yeah.
different. That's like you lose a lot of the luster of the Olympics.
But I don't, you know, honestly,
Uh-uh.
if there was a year to miss it,
Yeah.
probably this
Yeah.
is the year
Uh-huh.
to miss it.
And I've heard, honestly, opening ceremonies, everyone's like, oh, it's like 8 hours long, you're standing the whole time. Like, closing ceremonies, I've heard, is cooler. So I really was trying to make that. I even emailed them and was like, can we just move it one day? Like, it's just one day.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, I'm sorry. That's strict protocols.
Well, Paris, baby.
Oh,
Yes.
We'll be there.
I have high
What?
hopes for those
We'll be
ceremonies.
there. I can't wait. Annie, it was a real pleasure
Yeah,
having
thank
you
you so
in.
much.
I
Oh, yeah.
can't
Oh,
believe
you
it.
guys are awesome.
Very cool. Now that we're friends and now that
Yes.
we know you, we're pulling for you the
Thank
whole
you
time.
Yes.
So,
So,
it means the world to me.
Keep
Thank
us
you.
updated on the journey and everything. And we're looking forward to Paris.
Yes.
I will.
And,
Thank you guys so
congratulations
much.
on all the
Super fun.
success and everything. That was awesome,
Means a
man.
lot. Thank
You bet.
you.
Absolutely.